Welcome to the highlights for the inaugural Global Group 4 race. Here at the Abu Dhabi circuit, we are ready to go racing for our first ever time. And at the front of the field we have the Renault of Tyler Davison with Rick Debray just to his inside as they get ready for the race. And at the start, it was Tyler Davison who made the best start in his rear-wheel drive Renault Megane Trophy. He led the field down into turn number 1. Rick Debray stayed in second place, whilst Ben Driscoll jumped up into third. Third place starter Jackson Turner dropped down the order early on with his front-wheel drive. Suzuki Swift struggling from the standing start, but he managed to battle back in the mid-pack quite quickly as he had chosen soft tyres for the first race of the event. At the head of the field, Rick Debray, also on the soft tyres, was able to challenge Tyler Davison early on for the lead, but also Ben Driscoll in the mix. The two Genesis drivers battling it out in those final two podium places, but Rick Debray had his sights set on that race lead. With a tyre advantage over Tyler Davison, he felt he had to make his move early. Another two drivers on soft tyres here, Turner and Liu. Liu is in the Renault Megane Trophy, teammate to Tyler Davison, and that car is looking particularly good around Abu Dhabi as they battled out over 4th and 5th position. As the head of the field, it is Rick Debray and Tyler Davison once again doing battle here for the lead. This time though, it's Rick Debray that comes out on top. Davison tries to hang out around the outside, but his medium tyres just did not quite have the grip to do it there. But then at the end of the first lap, Debray made a mistake, and that opened the door for both Driscoll and Davison to come through. Davison up into the lead once more. Driscoll fighting around the outside though in his Genesis, the number 36 car, trying to keep it wheel to wheel through the S section here. Both of those two drivers on the medium tyres, and they couldn't quite make it through there too wide, and that allowed Debray to get back into the mix as they headed into the hairpin for the second time of the race. And this is where we saw some drama. Rick Debray cutting across his teammate in the braking zone, sent himself very deep, and Driscoll then was handed into the race lead. This also allowed the opportunity for two other soft runners in Turner and Liu to regain the chance to fight for victory here, and Turner was quick to take advantage there, side by side with Driscoll and Davison through the chicane, wheel to wheel as they came out of there. Davison with the inside line, but the Suzuki Swift on the outside wasn't quite able to stay in that battle. Behind again, we see under the hotel, free wide racing. That's not something you expect to see around this part of the track, but Turner was able to stay ahead there of Driscoll and Adam Liu. But at the head of the field, Tyler Davison wasn't able to hold on for very long on his medium tyres. The Suzuki Swift's superior top-end speed allowed it to pull straight past and clear into the lead of the race just past the halfway point. It was Turner leading ahead of Davison, Debray running in that third position, ahead of Adam Liu, and then Ben Driscoll in 5th position, dropping back a little bit after his early success in the opening laps. Then all the way to the flag, it was tight racing with Davison and Debray keeping the pressure on Turner, but finally a mistake from Turner on the final lap. As his soft tyres began to fade, the Swift went wide through the chicane and allowed Davison and Debray both past him as they head into the high-speed left-hand corner at the end of the second back straight. Davison got up into the lead, Turner looking quickly to try and get back at him down the inside, able to get an overlap there, but not quite far enough alongside. Davison closes the door on him and slides his way out of the corner, and Davison did hold on to that race lead, with Debray slotting back up into second spot, with the two drivers behind Davison both looking to try and challenge back at the race leader. They couldn't find a way through though. The tight and tricky final sector proved to be to Davison's liking, and the winner of the first ever Global Group 4 race would be Tyler Davison for Renault, as it was a drag race to the finish between Debray and Turner, with Adam Liu taking 4th place ahead of Ben Driscoll at the end of race number 1. Race 2 got off to a similar start again here. This time Davison is having another strong start. Debray again holding on to second place, at least on the initial launch. Turner dropping back drastically. He went with hard tyres for this race and dropped all the way down to 8th from his 3rd place starting position. Dammers up into 3rd spot, gaining from that issue for Turner, and Sandever, the highest starting of the soft tyre runners, was able to quickly make up positions for this race. Into 4th spot already, but he had Matthew Lilly right on his tail as they did battle once again for the lead at the front. It was Liu alongside Debray and Davison, the main protagonists from our first race, once again doing battle at the front, but that opened the door for the soft tyres on the Alfa Romeo 155 of Scott Sandever to slide his way straight up into the lead. And this occasion, Tyler Davison on his hard tyres this time could not compete with the soft tyres, dropping back quite quickly, ending up stuck in a battle with his teammate Adam Liu. Matthew Lilley also in the mix in this fight. He was the second of the soft runners. He took a bit longer to get through the rest of the mid-pack there, up into third spot quite quickly by the end of the first lap, but crucially had given Scott Sandever a chance to try and run away at the head of the field. The mid-pack in this race was where all the action was at as they head in to the chicane on the second lap. Davison you can see in the mix there with Debray, Turner. There we've got Jonathan Mills, Ben Driscoll also in that fight with Dimitri Sotirakis just on their tail as well here. Crucially, these battling positions were over the 8th spot, which was the reverse grid pole position for race number 3. So it will be critical who makes it in to those top 8 positions, not just for points, but for their potential result in race number 3. Into the long left-hander, a bit of contact from Sotirakis into the back of Davison, but everyone made it through safely as the pack continued to do battle here. There you see Jonathan Mills fending off Ben Driscoll there as the HDM Motorsport drivers were side by side here with Davison looking to their inside. Not a typical part of the lap to be going 3 wide, but Davison managed to make it stick there despite being on hard tyres. Made a strong move up in to the 5th position. Once again opening the door there for Jonathan Mills and Ben Driscoll to get past Turner as well, as the mid-pack continued to do battle in a ravenous way. Here we see on lap number 5, this was when drama struck the HDM teammates. It was Mills into the side of Turner, knocking Turner out of the reverse grid positions. Mills up into 7th spot, but very briefly as Thomas Pierpont in his Nissan Silvia moved up into 7th position. Mills happy to volunteer that position away, knowing that he had saved his soft tyres for the final race of the event. A reverse grid pole would do quite well for him. Meanwhile, the 2 Renaults were battling it out for 3rd position on the final lap. Adam Liu on the medium tyres compared to Tyler Davison on the hards. The grip advantage in theory going to Adam Liu, but Tyler Davison showed in race 1 he does not care what tyres you're on, he can beat you, and once again he shows that skill to great effect as he made the move up into 3rd place on the final lap of the 2nd race there, and Adam Liu was left wondering what more he could do in that particular fight against his teammate. At the head of the field though, it was Scott Sandever who took the lead on lap 1 and did not look back. He wins race number 2 ahead of Matthew Lilley, who ran it close in the end but not quite able to get the move done. It was Tyler Davison who won in that Renault battle over the final spot on the podium, with the 2 Genesis cars coming home 5th and 6th, Debray ahead of Driscoll. In race number 2, there we see Jonathan Mills on pole position on his soft compound tyres. He, of course, started this race from pole because he finished 8th in the previous one, the reverse top 8 grid for this one. That also allowed Thomas Pierpont up into the mix. We see some unfamiliar faces at the head of the field for this race. The battle in the pack for 2nd spot was very hard fought to start with. Tyler Davison also saved his soft tyres for this final race, and he was quickly making progress after his podium in race number 2, and his win in race number 1, he was hungry for more silverware. Matthew Lilley aggressive on the opening lap, sending it to the inside of the hairpin. That opened the door then for Scott Sandever, the winner of race number 2, to get up ahead and into the 3rd spot. A strong start from him, 8th up to 3rd. But that was not to last as they went 4 wide into the chicane on lap number 1. Pierpont was sent sideways. Dammers was sent off in the background there. As we see there, that was Sandever pushing Davison wide out of the chicane. But all of the drivers somehow managed to survive, except for Ben Driscoll, who was a bit deeper in the pack and just missed by the camera, was spun around after contact with Seb Mills, resulting in him dropping all the way to the rear of the field, and with his soft tyres on his car, he had to push hard to get up the order. Meanwhile, someone else pushing was Scott Sandever, pushing a bit too hard there. He went wide in the long left-hander. That opened the door for both Rick Debray and Matthew Lilley to make the move on him. Davison, meanwhile, up into 2nd spot, ready to challenge the race leader. As we see a battle now here, once again, 2 HDM liveried cars, but this time with the younger of the Mills brothers, Seb Mills, just ahead of them. They went 3 wide, the Suzuki Swift finding some space where there really wasn't any, making a job for the Marshal to do there, knocking over some of the brake markers into the 1st corner. In the end, it was Hitchings that came out on top of this battle. Seb Mills kept his nose in there and sent it back down the inside in turn 2, crucially able to retake that spot, opening the door then for Turner to retake the position on his teammate as well there. Then as they head into the chicane, it was all pretty single file, but then drama. Morgan Hitching straight on in the chicane, missed his braking point and off and into the wall. Contact with Seb Mills as well. Also, Adam Lee for the second lap in a row, going straight on over at the chicane. Turner managed to hold on to the 7th spot. Seb Mills miraculously holding on to 8th as well, but now feeling the pressure from Dimitri Sotirakis on his soft tyres in the Mazda 3. They're the sole Mazda 3 for this opening event, although we do expect 2 more to be coming soon in the imminent future. At the head of the field, though, Davison was already on the tail of Jonathan Mills, and an outside to inside manoeuvre. Lovely stuff for the British driver to take the lead away from Jonathan Mills. He drops back into 2nd position there. Contact between the two Genesis drivers gave the positions of 3rd and 5th away. Thomas Pierpont up into the final spot on the podium for now, at least. This battle was set to go all the way to the flag. Scott Sandever also battling away with Matthew Lilley as they head on to the 3rd lap of the race. It was 3 wide in a part of the track where really 2 wide is a bit of a risk. The two Genesis drivers banging doors. Scott Sandever left with nowhere to go. He ran wide off the corner. All of this allowing for the other drivers not too far behind them to reel in and get back into the action. Rick Debray able to win out on this battle of the Genesis drivers, and that would give him the opportunity to try and take 3rd spot away from Thomas Pierpont at the start of lap number 4. And Pierpont was able to just hold it around the outside, although would he be able to match the Genesis in these high-speed corners? Yes, is the answer, at least in the short term. Rick Debray, though, able to get the drive off the corner and have the inside line heading into the hairpin. All of this whilst Matthew Lee haunted them in their mirrors. Debray on the inside. Sandever also looking to try and get involved in this particular scrap. He slotted back ahead of Matthew Lilley, although only briefly, as then Turner got into the mix as well. Seb Mills as well gaining a lot of time in this battle. As they continue to do battle 4 wide, they somehow managed to survive through that high-speed left-hander. Turner winning out on that occasion. Seb Mills up into 6th place. So the two drivers that have been a bit further behind this pack suddenly gaining positions in this race, using their speed and perhaps cleanliness to their advantage. Although that cleanliness did not last long, as Seb Mills hit the side of Jackson Turner into the final corner as they came to the end of lap number 4, and that opened the door for 2 more cars to follow him through. So Seb Mills, Matthew Lilley, and then Scott Sandever all made their way up past the Suzuki Swift there that had been running well in the previous lap. Ben Driscoll, meanwhile, had risen up into 9th spot and quickly was gaining even more positions as into the chicane. He jumped up into 6th spot ahead of Seb Mills and Scott Sandever. Seb Mills over the curbing in the chicane. That will have cost him on corner exit and perhaps open the door for Turner to get back involved in this battle. Sandever just ahead of them though, as on the final lap of the race, it was Driscoll on those soft tyres reeling in the battle for the podium and all the way around the outside in turn number 3. A bold move from Ben Driscoll as his tyres were starting to fade. He knew he had to take every opportunity he got, and down the inside as they went into the hairpin. It was going to be Rick Debray that led them out of this corner onto the first of the 2 back straights, but behind them 2 cars, both desperate for that podium position. But up at the head of the field, it had been an incredibly dominant performance. Tyler Davison would win race number 3 by 12 seconds there. 2 wins from the first 3 races and a complete set of podiums there. Brilliant results from the new championship leader. Behind them, Jonathan Mills with the battle for 3rd raging all the way to the line. Rick Debray just held on in his Genesis ahead of Ben Driscoll, with Scott Sandever just nabbing 5th position away right at the flag. And then a 3-wide battle to the line saw Turner take 7th ahead of Matthew Lilley and Seb Mills down in 9th spot. That was all the action then from our first event here in Global Group 4, and actually that's a slight lie. There was a lot more action than that. Really, this highlights could have been an hour long, but for it to be defined as highlights, I had to shorten it down just a little bit. If you did enjoy watching that action, if you enjoyed enough to try and join in, potentially, then please do follow Next Gen Motorsport over on Instagram and DM us or sign up following the link in our bio. Aside from that, thank you very much for watching, and in 2 weeks' time we'll be going racing again, but next time around Barcelona. Goodbye.